So it seems that AEW wants to try to really basically knock it out of the park, if you will, so to speak, if not literally, because not only are they, along with other promotions, going back on the road next month officially, but one of the venues that AEW has recently booked for the return to the road and basically being back to normal, if you will, is Arthur Ashe Stadium in the Queens, New York region, basically Fleming, New York. And this is a court that has hosted the U.S. Open on several occasions, and it seats about a little under, I should say, 24,000 people capacity-wise. Now, if you add in, potentially, adding some floor seating to it, like 1,000 seats on the floor on each side, if you will, ringside-wise, you could potentially be looking at almost 30,000 people in attendance. But here's the catch. AEW is not running Arthur Ashe Stadium for a pay-per-view. No. They're running it for a special edition, I guess you can say, of Dynamite, which I'm assuming is going to be probably one of those, quarterly big shows that they said they were going to do. And by big, obviously it means booking bigger, venues than they're used to. But the big question, though, on this, I think a lot of people want to know is, is AEW making a huge mistake by booking this 23,000 or, this under, I should say, 24,000 seat venue? I mean, yes, it has a retractable roof, just in case, there's rain and all that. So that's kind of a cool perk when it comes to booking a place like this. But the question is, are they, ready to do it? Are they making a mistake, in booking this venue compared to where they've booked before? Now, some people will come out and say, well, they've sold out, arenas that seat 12,000. They've sold those out. They've sold out arenas that, sit almost 14,000. They've come close to the halfway mark of 30,000, basically a halfway mark of 30,000, people. And that is indeed true. They have, gotten to that point. They have, done that in the past. But what we're talking about here is a big stadium. The seating, the regular seating, no floor seats or anything like that, but the regular seating in the stands is 23,000, just under 24,000, if you will, for attendance when they sell it out. But now we're talking wrestling. We're talking wrestling, and with the addition of adding floor seats or ringside seats on the floor, you have to ask yourself if AEW might be pushing it, a little too soon, or are they making probably the best decision they've made so far when it comes to, ticket sales and attendance, potential attendance capacity, from like a sellout situation. These are questions everybody wants to know. It's like, is AEW making a mistake, or are they, basically coming, or have they come up basically with a great idea for a venue to probably consider going to on several other occasions in the future? That's the question. That is the question. You have to wonder: are they making a mistake, or do they have a plan to succeed here? Now, one of the things they came out and said in a press release, which did get them some criticization, if you will, is they basically said that this is a venue that WWE hasn't even run yet. And it's like, when you read that, obviously one of the things you're going to think of is, really, you have to compare yourself to WWE again by saying you're running something they've never run? That doesn't make you look good. And that's true. It doesn't make them look good. But it is something to brag about because they're going to be the first wrestling company to actually book this stadium for a wrestling event. This stadium, mostly known as a tennis complex, has hosted basketball games and some other events outside of tennis, mainly the U.S. Open. So to basically come out and brag about the fact that they're going to be the first wrestling promotion to do this, to book this venue, especially for a regular Dynamite show or a special edition of it, you can't help but probably, brag about it yourself if you were in Tony Khan's shoes. But again, the big question is, are they making a mistake by booking this event in this venue for Dynamite, for the special edition of Dynamite? Are they making a mistake by booking it too soon, or is the timing right and they basically know what they have to do to really, make it come off, looking good on television, mostly on TNT? That is the big question. That is a big question. Now I understand we got this month, we got the rest of this month, we got July, we got August, we got 3 months, 3.5 months, maybe 4 when you think about it, but 3.5 months, or mainly a little over 3 months, before this event happens at Arthur Ashe Stadium. But again, you have to ask yourself, is this a big mistake by AEW, or are they basically hitting on all cylinders that they're confident enough that this will be a success for them, no matter, what kind of capacity seating they have to, rearrange to make it happen, whether they sell out or not? Do you think they have it well in hand, is what I'm trying to say? Do you think they are confident enough that they have it well in hand, or are they about to have a major letdown come their way? You see, these are questions we all have to wonder. But again, the main question is, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, is, about this, announcement is, is AEW making a huge mistake? Is it a big mistake to book Arthur Ashe Stadium? Or is it a great idea, knowing that, hey, if you're the second biggest wrestling promotion in the world, you can prove that you're on the levels of the WWE by selling something like that out? We'll have to see. But right now, right now we just have to, just speculate of exactly, how they're going to, sell it out. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying they won't sell it out. There's a good chance they will. But we have to remember, this ain't an MGM Grand. This ain't a Daly's Place. This ain't arenas in, Cedar Falls, Texas, or Miami, Florida, or anything like that. We're talking a stadium, an outdoor venue that if it's nice enough, at that time of year, in a couple of months where it's still warm and they could leave the roof open and it's clear and everything, they can make a big deal out of it. They can make it basically like their Clash of the Champions, if you will, and set the standard, set the tone of, how other future quarterly events are going to be presented for AEW. But we'll have to see. So mainly, I know I sound like I rambled a little bit, but I was trying to think about what I was going to say, doing this unscripted and everything. But what are your guys' thoughts? How do you feel about AEW booking Arthur Ashe Stadium for September 22nd? Do you think it's a mistake? Or do you think they know what they're doing and they might actually hit a grand slam, coin the phrase, out of the park with this event, with this special edition of Dynamite? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this? I mean, this is a major step when you think about it as far as booking venues for AEW. This is a major, major step forward. It's a major step forward. I mean, I know a lot of these men and women, they've competed they've competed in front of major crowds, majorly huge crowds in the past. Those that have worked for WWE, they've competed in front of, almost hundreds of thousands of people at stadiums, like AT&T. Those that have competed for New Japan, they know what it's like to compete in front of 65,000 to 70,000 at the Tokyo Dome. So it's going to be nothing new, but for a company like AEW, it is going to be a first for them as far as, booking venues outside of the norm. So what are your thoughts though? How do you feel about AEW booking Arthur Ashe Stadium? Do you think they'll succeed, or do you think it'll blow up in their face? Comment down below. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you, and I'm out.